Welcome back to the Real News Network. Coming to you from New York City, we're at the United Nations with Gustavo Zlauvinen. He is the representative of the International Atomic Energy Agency to the United Nations. Thanks for joining us again.
Pleasure.
So we were left off talking about Iran and the enrichment of uranium, and they're getting towards this edge. I think you used the term off camera with me, the breakout scenario.
Correct.
Where you get to the point where you have uranium enriched for a civilian program, but you have the technical capacity to weaponize it. And whether the Iranians are 3 months away from this or 5 years away from it, it's a possibility they are reaching that point. But so are many other countries. Your boss, Baradei, said in this interview I've been quoting that there may be as many as 5 or 10 countries heading towards a very similar kind of breakout point. And the question is, why shouldn't they? When you have the major nuclear weaponized countries not really disarming, and then you have countries that have just never joined the NPT anyway, India and Pakistan. And then, of course, when you're talking the Middle East, the most controversial of all, Israel is weaponized. Everyone knows they're weaponized. If there isn't some serious measures taken, particularly to disarm and pressure Israel, how can anybody say anything to Iran or Saudi Arabia or anyone else that wants to weaponize?
So I think you have to dissect the problematic into 3, in the sense that you have the 5 recognized nuclear weapon states that have nuclear weapons, and with President Obama's and President Medvedev's, new impetus in trying to get into nuclear disarmament in the future, I think we start with a good step into the right direction. So obviously that first group of states, they have to recommit themselves to that obligation and work very hard and practically towards getting rid of their nuclear weapons in the future.
But that will very long term, though.
Yes, but at least they will send the right political message to the other 2 elements of the question, which is the second one, which is the largest majority of countries not having nuclear weapons.
But there's a very immediate issue right now. I mean, it's very immediate. Israel is talking about, has suggested they want an attack on Iran sooner than later. So this situation needs to be dealt with now.
Sure. Look, Iran, is something in between those cases, in the sense that it's a party to the NPT, does not have nuclear weapons so far, or at least we know. But obviously it's been seen by Israel and others as trying to get that capability.
But I'm reversing the equation. I'm saying isn't part of the solution to not having a nuclear arms race in the region, open, overt talk about Israel's weapons and the need for Israel to disarm their nuclear capacity?
And that's why there are a number of resolutions by the UN and by my own organizations calling on Israel to join the NPT, calling on Israel just to place all their nuclear facilities under full inspection by the IAEA, and obviously by getting rid of their nuclear weapons as allegedly they are.
And what response have you got?
There are a lot of engagement at the different political levels. El Baradei has traveled to Israel just to put forward this case. Obviously they have their own views. They have their own policies on these issues. They always say that the nuclear equation is going to be linked to the overall peace process.
Well, do they at least acknowledge they even have nuclear weapons?
No, this is not the official position of
Israel.
Still,
even when they sit with you, they don't acknowledge it.
It's not the official position, but they have the right just to have their own views and their own, obviously national position. But I'm saying that the international community recognizes that something has to be done on these issues, and it's calling on Israel just to do something more on that. But at the end of the day, India and Pakistan is exactly the same situation. They have nuclear weapons. Obviously, nobody's happy with that. But both countries recognize that eventually it will be better for them and for the region and the world if they were not to have nuclear weapons. Now, how that is going to happen? Well, it's a very complex process that only by a peaceful agreement between both countries at all the different levels, it may build just the process for getting rid of nuclear weapons in both countries. But again, we are talking about long-term, just scenarios. And Iran most probably is a short-term scenarios. And the sense that, obviously, as I said before, there is a lack of, confidence, obviously, just a lack of trust by the international community on Iran because of their past behavior. We are trying to do our best to help Iran to come clean and prove if they're really not trying to have nuclear weapons or capabilities, how to prove that. If they don't, then is how the international community is going to put pressure on Iran to come clean, and that's why just President Obama is trying just to re-engage Iran in a different ways and manners than the previous administration, just to give them the chance of coming clean or discussing these matters, between both countries, and hopefully that process, that new process, is going just to get positive results in the short term.
But doesn't the international community and even the IAEA need to get past this double standard? Like, let's say Iran isn't being honest. Let's say Iran is hiding some parts of their program from you. Israel's actually built all these weapons in secrecy and still won't acknowledge something everybody knows. Like, doesn't the hypocrisy have to end, not just with Israel, but with all the big nuclear powers too, who, as you say, owed nuclear energy technology to all the countries that signed NPT and don't really deliver on it? I mean, doesn't there have to be an end to this hypocrisy?
Look, obviously there's a reality here, and the reality is not perfect, and we're not happy with that. You call it just double standards, hypocrisy. We call it reality in the sense that that's a fact.
I'm calling it reality too. I just think we should call it what it is.
But, as a lawyer, you have just the Non-Proliferation Treaty that was opened voluntarily, and 186 countries voluntarily committed themselves not to do something. And this is the only obligation we have as international organization, just to make sure that those that committed themselves not to have nuclear weapons are not going to do it. Now, those who have not committed themselves to that treaty, legally, there's nothing that we can do. We wish we could do. We wish, in a perfect world, we wish everybody will be in
not
the same
legally,
situation,
but your boss has been very outspoken on many things, and one can speak out.
Of course, and he calls on those three countries, as well as he called, the big countries having nuclear weapons, just to engage in actual talks about nuclear disarmament.
Well, speaking of your boss is leaving soon, and you're going to have to find a new one. So in the next segment of our interview, let's talk about who might it be, and who wants this job, because this is not going to be an easy job. Please join us for the next segment of our interview with Gustavo Zlauvinen.